My name is Carol Hanley, and I am the president of the Sierra Madre Women's Club. We are proud to be co-sponsors along with the Chamber of Commerce for today's Candidate Forum event. Before we begin our program, I would ask you to please stand if you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well done. You may be seated. It is now my pleasure to introduce Luther Singloglu, and he is the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and he has the honor of introducing the candidates.
Thank you and good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I would like to start by introducing the candidates for the school district. I want to start with Crystal Dubernon, Elena Albert, Inafu Fredericks, and Priscilla Hernandez. And moving down to the candidates for Sierra Madre City Council for the 2-year seat. The 3 candidates are Dave Laura, Ed Garcia, and Tracy Cornhaven. And the candidates for the 4-year seats that are available, we have 2. The names are Andy, Crystal. Can I have you stand, please? There's Andy in the back. And we have Kurt Richter. And we have Peter Riley. And also Robert Parker and Kelly Cribbs. And I want to thank all of you for being here. And at this point, I'd like to introduce the moderator for this afternoon, Susan Henderson.
Thank you, Carol and Luther. And before we start, I'm going to put on my other hat. I have some breaking news. And that is regarding campaign signs. There's been a lot of conversation this morning, a couple of frantic phone calls about missing candidate signs. Signs are not missing. We do have code and we have code enforcement officers, and whenever, as many of you know, whenever we're not in compliance, that's the code enforcement officer. Make sure, please, all candidates, if you check with our assistant city clerk, Laura Aguilar, stand in there, raise your hand, and make sure you have complied with everything regarding electioneering in Sierra Madre. So there is no breaking news. Nobody stole your sign, but you're in Laura's office. Thank you. Now, moving right along, we have a schedule today, and we're going to try to keep it to give everyone the opportunity to hear from all of our candidates. We're going to start with Pasadena Unified, and I'm going to ask those 4 candidates to come and be seated at the 2 tables on the left. I'll call your name so you'll know the order of your seat. I'm pulling them randomly so there can be no accusations of favoritism. And when you are done, when the segment for the candidates for PUSD District 6 are finished, then we're going to ask them to exit the stage. There will be a brief pause to allow for our COVID-19 cleanup, and we will move on and call the candidates for the Sierra Madre City Council. So for Pasadena Unified School District 6, Priscilla Hernandez, please come to the stage. Melena Alford, is she here? We haven't seen her yet. We'll leave space for her. Tina Wu Fredericks. And Crystal Dubernot. All right, we have two candidates for the District 60 of Pasadena Unified. And we have timed this out so that the opening statements are no more than 4 minutes each. And then we have a Q&A. We're going to stick to 4 minutes, even though we only have two candidates, because we do have a significant number of questions. And I want the audience to understand that questions were submitted either via email or today we had some cards. So we're going to start with Tina and allow you to introduce yourself. We have 4 minutes.
Okay, with Tina?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I want to thank the Sierra Madre Women's Club and the Sierra Madre Chamber of Commerce for hosting, and thank you all for coming. Hi, my name is Tina Wu Fredericks. I'm running to represent you, District 6 QSD. I am endorsed by the District's Teachers Union, United Teachers of Pasadena, as well as the CSEA, which is the union that represents the California School Association, which is classified staff of the district. And I'm also endorsed by Sierra Madre City Councilman, former Mayor John Harvey. A little bit of background about myself. I'm a former high school math teacher. I am currently a computer engineer. I'm a PhD mom of 8 years. I have 2 girls. One that's 10. She goes to Willard Elementary. Another 13. And she went to Blair Middle as well as McKinley Math Academy. And I've served on PTA board multiple terms as vice president, treasurer, legislative advocate, and I've seen how schools are left to raise money on their own for basic staff, like librarians. A lot of schools have to do that. I jumped in the race as the first candidate of all the districts 9 months ago, November 3rd, 2019. I believe that I need to ask the constituents what they care about in order to properly represent you. So we took the time, we took 2 weeks, calling voters, asking them, what is your experience in public schools? What do you want to see in public schools? How can we make it better? The overwhelming majority said, regardless if they had children, regardless if they had private school or public school, the overwhelming majority said they want smaller class size. So we listened and we revamped our platform. Our top priority is smaller class size. And no other candidate in any district is advocating for smaller class size besides our campaign. So it's easy to say, I will represent you. Here's my email, here's my phone number. Our campaign is already representing you. We reached out to you, we listened, we are your voice. After many years of political advocacy work and being in this district for many years, I've seen how budget cuts have pit families and schools against each other. Our campaign is saying enough is enough. We're tired of fighting each other over the crumbs. Underfunded schools is not specific to QSD. California ranks 41st in the nation on per pupil spending. We must restore the funding levels of 1970s when we did have world-class schools. I will take this COVID crisis as an opportunity to reimagine education. I will advocate for smaller class sizes, hire more teachers, ensure that every school has a librarian, nurse, custodian, and counselor, and that we have the highest safety standard for reopening schools because our kids are worth it.
Thank you. All right. Our next candidate to speak is Crystal Zubernat, and you have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Susan. Hello, Sierra Madre. Thank you for coming out on this warm Saturday afternoon. It is thrilling to be here in my own town and community to gather with you today to talk about the future of Pasadena Unified School District. We moved, my family and I moved in here into Sierra Madre about 7 years ago to raise our family. And now I have 2 twin first graders in Mrs. Ritchie's class. And it was just another, with COVID, it's just been another just astounding example to see our teachers throughout Sierra Madre and District 6 just doing tremendous work to ensure that our students, that our kids, that my kids are having the best school year possible, given the circumstances. I come from 20 years of experience in education as a teacher and an administrator. I am an expert in distance learning, and I'm an expert in school enrollment growth. In 2010, 2011, I was brought into Pacific Oaks College. It's a college that's been around in Pasadena for about 80 years. It's a college that trains teachers and has trained teachers for almost 80 years now. And it almost closed in 2011. The enrollment was deafeningly low. Funding was the budget was at an extreme deficit, and I was brought in to help save the school as the Vice President of Enrollment Management. And then within 5 years, I was able to bring in 2 of the institution's largest classes in the history of the school and create, within 5 years, a $16 million budget. And now today the school is thriving, still thriving. Since then, I've also created 5 online high schools, 2 junior highs, and I also helped start Pacific Oaks College as well. It is my commitment to you in this time, one of our #1 priorities is going to be enrollment. We need to grow our schools year after year. We continue to close our schools down. And we all know, even our very own Sierra Madre Middle School was on the list last year as an option to be closed. It is my commitment to you, to your families, and to my kids as well, that I will do everything in my power to fight to ensure that our schools are not closed, that our schools in District 6 and Sierra Madre are receiving equal funding, appropriate funding. It is everyone. I've never spoken to anyone who hasn't wanted smaller class sizes and more staff for our schools. That is important. But before we can do that, we need to ensure that we have the funding. We need to ensure that we are sustainable, that our budgets are in balance, so we're not worried about closing down schools. But we have schools in our very own town that will be around for generations to come. And I look around and I've seen many of you have experienced the transitions over the last 30 years with Sierra Madre Elementary and particularly the middle school. And we're at a place right now where we have so much talent. We have such good families here. And with my experience, I know I have the experience to move us forward to ensure that we have a long, sustainable education for our families, for our children, for our teachers, for generations to come.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, questions, and we have them. First question, I'd like each candidate to answer. What is your position on school choice? And let's start with Tina.
Okay, school choice. I think it actually is difficult for families that may not have the ability to go to the school that they want to, even though that's their choice. They may not have the finances, the car, the transportation to get there. I know that Sierra Madre schools are highly desirable, but families that live across the district, their parents have to work. Those families have to walk to school. So really, it's the neighborhood schools that support some of the families, and so it actually becomes inequitable in certain situations. So if we want to stand for equity, then choice may not be the ideal situation.
Thank you.
I do believe that our families should have a choice of where to send their students. In fact, that's one of the problems with our closures. If there wasn't a school of choice for Sierra Madre, we would have to close the Sierra Madre Middle School. And I know candidates that are running in this race use for their children school of choice as well. And so I think if we want to be a sustainable district for long term, our only option is to be toward school choice.
Okay, thank you. Question, starting with Crystal, but for both candidates. And by the way, your answers, you have 2 minutes for your answers. Our district has not been able to consistently meet the resources listed in formal IEPs, leaving the students that need the most help without resources that the agreed upon plan has stipulated. How would you fix that? And please explain for the audience members who may not know what an IEP is.
Yes. So this is one of the travesties in a lot of public education, and specifically for PUSD. When a student has an IEP, it means that they need particular or a special needs academically in the classroom. Additional, it could be occupational therapy, could be additional tutoring, et cetera. They need a plan in order to ensure that they get an equal education with the rest of the students in the school. I hear, as I talk to voters, I hear all the time that families who have students that need an IEP have to actually negotiate the terms of the IEP to come to fruition with the families. And primarily that is because of a budget concern, because we do not have the staffing that it takes to ensure that our student to teacher ratio happens appropriately. And we are able to do this. Every student with an IEP gets additional funding from the state. And so we have this funding to be able to take care of those kids and give them a proper education that they deserve. What we need to ensure is that the budget dollars are going in the right place towards the right teachers that are able to support these kids.
So special ed kids on average need $27,000 for their education. General education is $10,000. We are mandated to serve special ed kids, and federal funding only constitutes 10%. Yet they are the one that requires us to serve those special ed kids. And they had promised 40% funding, yet they're only giving 10%. So when we're competing against private schools, they're not mandated to serve special ed kids. That's why it's so expensive for our PUSD to serve special ed kids. We're shouldering that expense. I disagree. We don't have the money. We don't have that money. So we have to go get it. We have to lean on our federal officials, our elected officials, to say, if you want us to serve those special ed kids, then give us the money so we can do that. And this goes back to smaller class sizes. If we want to provide more support for special ed kids, we're gonna need to have smaller class sizes, have more aides to provide that support for more early intervention, because if you have early intervention, then they are more successful later. So we have to get that funding, and that's where I have my leading on my advocacy work to organize this community, to go into our elected officials' office
30 seconds.
in person or on Zoom. Literally 5 of us can make a difference in half an hour. I'd rather do that than hold a silent auction that requires months and hours of volunteer work. Been there, not gonna do this again, not sustainable.
Thank you. All right, and we're going to start with you on this question, Tina. What plans do you have to improve distance learning and address the inequity therein? Be specific.
So there are some families that don't have the resources, they don't have high-speed internet. They have connection, we have one-to-one, every student has a Chromebook in PUSD. We plan that ahead of time, that technology support, except, that also requires maintenance. Some of the Chromebooks aren't, functioning. We have to have support for that. Some families don't have parents that don't have the sort of the savviness of supporting their children to navigate the technology. So I think we can lean on our after-school program, the support there which is happening with the Learns right now, to provide support for the families that need it. And we should expand. And really, literally, it's just a space issue. And if we can maybe utilize our schools that are not being utilized to expand our Learns program to offer more spots for kids that need that support. And I think that in the long term, this is a signal that, we are not serving all of our families, all of our students. We can lean on our city municipalities to offer high-speed internet across the city. Why not? We're preparing students for 21st century. So these will be our future leaders. 30 seconds?
Yes.
Okay. Literally distance learning is a temporary solution. So ideally, the best education is when you can have more time, more in-person time with your teacher. It's relational. So the faster we get over COVID, we have to lean on our federal officials to have a plan to defeat COVID.
Thank you. Crystal.
This is one of my favorite questions because I have spent nearly 10 years in distance learning. I joke because, I was part of distance learning when people would kind of laugh at it. Can you really get a degree online? Is that legitimate? And now you're going to be hard pressed to even attend a college where the entire platform isn't online in one way or another. But here are 2 things. One, I've trained and created trainings, been for hundreds of teachers in my career, creating quality, interactive, engaging school for them. That's one area that we're going to need additional support. Our teachers at PUSD are some of the most brilliant, wholehearted, beautiful humans in Pasadena or in California. I mean, they're just astounding people, but they need proper training. They need proper training on how to be an online teacher. Being a teacher in the classroom is very different, and it requires a different skill set than what being a teacher online is. And we need to take the time to do that well with our teachers. The other thing is technology. Our students have Chromebooks, and I can speak from personal experience. My own kids have Chromebooks. And I can see some of the eyes as we talk about Chromebooks that aren't compatible with the software that has been chosen
30 seconds.
to use online so that the teachers and the students could see each other. So we need to ensure that we have proper technology. We have kids out there who are sitting in cars who don't have computers or sitting in cars to get Wi-Fi, we need to make sure right away, as a high importance and urgency, that every student in PUSD has access to proper technology and internet connection. We don't know how long this is gonna be, but we need to make changes quickly.
Thank you. All right, Crystal, starting with you. What will you do to promote a culturally responsive curriculum at USD?
The responsibility of the board is not to create, our responsibility isn't to create curriculum. That's responsibility of the people that have been, the teachers and educators that have been hired within our district. And we have very competent teachers and curriculum developers that are doing this and have been doing it and are doing it even more as we speak. I believe that they are looking at the current state of where our country is and that they're integrating where it's needed. The responsibilities of the board are to ensure and help manage our budget and also to keep the superintendent accountable. Now, if things weren't moving forward, this would be a way, if there were concerns, that would be an area for us to get involved if it wasn't being handled at the executive level. But we have some astounding educators at PUSD who are doing great work for us.
Thank you. Tina?
Well, the board can provide a process to engage the community. So the community can decide and can inform us on how we can be more culturally sensitive. In the post-George Floyd era, we have to do this. And actually at Glendale Unified, they have a task force for this situation, to be culturally sensitive, to ensure that there is equity in their school. And they have parents, community members, all on this task force. And I actually joined that task force myself last week. So we can learn a lot from other districts. There are so many issues that all districts are dealing with. And I'm gonna look at other districts, see what they're doing. There are other districts that are poorer than our district, and somehow they're closing the achievement gap. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's share ideas with other districts that are doing it well and that have similar demographics and similar size. And we can, benefit from their experience. So the board's job is not directly to provide curriculum, but we provide the process that allows the community and the district to come up with these solutions, to come up with the curriculum.
Thank you. Okay, next question. How will you as a board member make sure that every school has a full-time nurse?
Staffing, anytime there's a budget cut, budget cuts ends up hitting staff, teachers and staff. So it all comes down to funding. Everything's funding, distance learning funding, IEP's funding. So we gotta increase funding. So we need to, again, organize community. We can exercise community engagement with voting, but that doesn't end after election. It doesn't solutions doesn't happen with one person, one board member or a few board members. The power is really in the community. So if we can engage our community after election and organize them and lean on elected officials to demand more funding, because there was a time when I was growing up, when you were growing up probably, we had full-time nurses. It was just normal. So we've done it before. So we just have to demand and expect that we have this as a normal baseline for public schools.
Thank you. Crystal?
I have two young children with pretty severe food allergies. And so from a parent perspective, knowing I'm sending my 6-year-olds to school with EpiPens and not always, and a nurse not present there full time, it's unsettling. And it is something that is important. We know that food allergies are more rampant than they've been in a long time. We want to make sure that all of our children are getting care as needed. And we do need to increase the funding so we're able to provide this for our schools. However, we need to do that by expanding and growing Pasadena Unified. Everyone in California is going to be looking for dollars at this point. With COVID, everyone in California is going to be knocking on doors and protesting to get additional funds. But I believe we have it within our community, within our school district, to make some shifts to truly grow our enrollment, and that's where my expertise lies. A few years ago, PUSD did a survey and asked people who are sending their kids to charter schools and to private schools or different other than PUSD, and why aren't you sending them there? What would change? What would we have to change? And the answers in the survey were better communication and access between parents and teachers, and to create a more rigorous education / college prep. Let's do those things. Let's start to make changes right away. Let's ensure that our community knows about the changes. There is a lot of good inside the walls of our schools at PUSD, but it's up to us. It's up to us as a school board, as a school district, to ensure that our community knows about those. It's my goal to ensure that we're working towards a future where our community wouldn't pass up the opportunity to send their kids to a Pasadena Unified School.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. And right into the next question.
Okay.
So since you just answered it, I'm going to ask the question, give it to Tina, and if you missed anything, you can come back. Next question was, how do you grow enrollment when schools are closing and students are moving to private schools?
So there's a lot of opportunities for enrollment. Preschools, we already have Penn, which is Pasadena Education Network, does a good job of, they do a pretty good job of visiting preschools, get those kids in our kindergarten. And so, a lady goes, and a former parent goes to these schools and does a presentation. But, when I went to, when I was looking for kindergarten for my, little one, the decision maker was a conversation with another parent that was in the PUSD. So you can have, some representative going around the preschool, but you really need that one-on-one with that parent. So I would improve that program by injecting some actual parents into that program. And they, they would go to these preschools and actively recruit for parents. And that's where it happens, is literally I ask this little question of, what's the food like, or some question, or, just knowing that there's other parents that are worrying about the same things I'm worrying about, that might be the factor, but really it needs to have that parent-parent conversation. We have Math Academy, another entranceway into the district is every transition is an opportunity. So going into middle school, we have, for example, Math Academy, which my daughter went to, and we get a lot of kids going to district, some private school kids going back to public because they see such a rigorous, Math Academy program, which has like by eighth grade, you're taking calculus. And we have PCC. Oh, okay. We have dual enrollment with PCC, where you basically, while you're taking your high school class, it's also a credit towards college, so that's great savings. So economically, that makes sense. The economy's tight right now, so we should, support programs like that. So every transition is an opportunity to expand enrollment. And the other thing I want to,
Okay,
Goes quick.
Crystal, since you had some time and you answered this partially,
Yes.
I'll give you another 30 seconds to wrap it up on this question.
Okay. This is where I've spent my career excelling. This is one of the foundational reasons that I'm running, is because I have the proven experience to ensure we're going to grow enrollment in PUSD. It's now or never. I am here for you voters. I am here to bring my experience and my time to ensure that I'm able to invest, create a vision collectively as a board, as a school district, and ensure that we're moving forward to grow enrollment.
Thank you. All right, we have 2 more questions and then we'll be out of time. The next question, given the oftentimes haphazard methods to determine which schools should be closed, what factors would you use to determine the closures of schools in the district? And I'll start with Tina.
So everything has to be informed by the well, everything has to be informed by data. And I've watched the process of school closure in the past couple of years, and because the district can do better in communicating why they decided on certain closures. So people kind of make up, or they kind of guess like, oh, why did they pick that school, to close, and why that school? So it really has to come from academic numbers. How are each school doing academically, and as well as serving the academic needs of kids that are high needs. So, if we're about equity, we have to, support the programs that benefit the special, the high needs kids first, or the more kids and more high needs kids. So we have to be more efficient in our programs. Again, better communication. It's got to be data driven, so that it's objective. The decisions have to be objective, because sometimes people think, oh well, that he's a parent, board member's a parent, and he has children in certain school, and that's why he made that decision. He doesn't have to defend himself if everything is based on data. He doesn't have to defend. It's all objective. So we have to have that data. It has to be transparent. It has to be communicated.
Crystal?
School closures, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What a mess it has been in the past, quite frankly. Now, I know that's not the intention, but it has seemed mysterious and sort of secretive by which the decisions were made. And again, I want to say, as someone being elected by you, it is my responsibility to you to ensure that I'm communicating what's happening inside the walls. You should be no more surprised than anyone to know the process of which that decision has been made. So it's my commitment to you to be transparent, that it doesn't seem like sort of a secretive or hidden process, but to be transparent with you, so you can understand the process. But the other thing is this truly is just not the right question about school closure. We need to change the narrative. We need to start thinking in a way that grows our schools instead of how do we prepare to close our schools. And that will be the process, and that what I will lead with on the board is let's move quickly, let's move effectively, and let's move collaboratively to ensure that our schools are growing. So we don't have to face the question of closure.
Thank you. All right, this is the final question. And we'll start with Crystal.
Are there closing statements or just last question?
Last question.
Okay, I do want to say that I have been endorsed by Rachel Armendez.
Okay, but you don't get extra time.
I know. Okay,
Okay, that should have been in your opening statement.
got you.
Okay. Last question,
Yes.
and I've had several about the same thing.
Yes.
What are your priorities in supporting our students and teachers?
I think I've listed these throughout the time, my time today, and it's to be a grand support for our teachers to ensure they're getting training and the resources that they need. Same for our families and our students. They need to have the training, or they need to have the resources that need in the classroom We need to ensure that we have an equitable educational system, that our students are coming together at the table and are able to focus on learning. They are our future. We have to take this seriously and significantly. I also want to say Larry Torres, the incumbent, has endorsed me. Our mayor, Sierra Madre, John Capocia, and our other council member, Jean Goss, has also endorsed me, Sierra Madre. Thank you.
Nina?
Okay, so again, I advocate for smaller class sizes, that we hire more teachers, that every school has a librarian, nurse, custodian, counselor, and that we have the highest safety standards for reopening. And some people, you know, when I'm talking to voters, they're asking, you know, when are you gonna reopen? And, you know, I can have my own opinion how we reopen or what's the standard, but we have a teachers union, and the fastest way to reopening is they have a memorandum of understanding regarding safety. And they said that until we address safety with students and teachers, then they'll talk about reopening. So I do want to get us back to reopening and for everyone to get a quality education in person, but we have to first address the safety issues. And so for the teachers, I want to address safety because that's what they want. They want safety, and no child, one child, one teacher, one grandparent, one parent. I don't want to put them at risk to rush reopening. So so anything to increase the quality of education, and that requires increased funding, that requires smaller class sizes. And I do want to say my idea that I didn't get to say is I actually never said this until right now,
30 seconds.
is I want to challenge private schools. I was talking to a voter the other day, and this voter was a dad that works at Caltech. And I didn't know this, but his he put his child at PHS. And he said that we graduate more kids to higher education than private schools.
Time.
So I want to publish that. I want to put a list, private, public. Let's bring it on. We're better.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I wanted to say a couple of things. One correction. Where is Larry Torres? You see out here, she mentioned him. Larry was the first elected official to represent District 6. We used to have at-large representation on the school board, and then they chopped the districts up so the communities could be more involved. And Larry is not an incumbent. He has retired from the position. So there are only 4 people in this race, and we thank the 2 of you for coming.
Thank you.
Now, since all of you, probably most of you, are suffering because you haven't been to a baseball game, we're going to not do a 7th inning stretch. We're going to do a 7-minute stretch so that we can sanitize and get ready for the city council members. So there you go. Freeze. Kelly, freeze.
First and foremost, I have to say that I think I probably share this with everyone here because you're committed to be here. I love the city. I love everything about it. I'm here to keep it the way it is and the way we want it to be for our children into the future. My family and I have been here for almost 11 years. I've raised 2 children, 2 teenage sons that both went to public school here in town, both played Little League. I see some of my Little League friends in the audience. I'm currently on the Little League board. One of the things I'm proudest of with that service is that we renegotiated with the city and the softball league our field use agreement to make sure that we offer equitable time on the field for all of our children. We had the school board up here a little while ago. I'm also very much committed to protecting our local Sierra Madre schools and making sure that, you know, through any changes in the district that we keep our strong schools here and open. Professionally, I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for 20 years. My job is essentially solving problems for clients. I'm a corporate lawyer. I do deals. So I am identifying risks and solutions and then bringing people together to create a mutually beneficial solution. So I think those are the kinds of things that as a council member, I will listen to what you want and try to bring us all to a mutually beneficial solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Verhoeven. Ever since I was a child, I knew I wanted to run for office. My mom said I came out of the womb wanting to make the world better. It wasn't until I actually moved to Sierra Madre I realized this was the place I wanted to be of service. I fell in love with Sierra Madre for its small town charm and its community. My motto is preserve and prosper because I want it to stay that way. And I want mom and pop shops to be successful. My career path has taught me the importance of being solution-oriented and communication. I'm well-rounded as I have been in the corporate world and I have also had my own small business. As a kid, we had a family donut shop, which made me real popular, but it was a lot of work. We used to have a pizza shop right here in North Hollywood called Rock and Roll Pizza, and we even got a little write-up in People magazine. That was kind of fun. One of my proudest achievements has been that I was a political organizer in Wisconsin in a swing state. I have a BA from Northridge, and I'm a licensed California real estate agent. I'm active in several community and professional groups. When I first moved here, I noticed that the Civic Club practically ran the town. All the festivals and all the things around it was amazing. And I said, I have to join, which I did. I am vice chair of archives because I love history and specifically Sierra Madre history.
30 seconds.
I'm also part of the Optimist Professionals group, which helps foster children. My son is at Sierra Madre Community Nursery School. My mom used to love the senior center pre-COVID at the Hart House. Being on city council is a labor of love. This town has given me so much. When I was little, my father was killed in line of duty. And that really taught me about life. Take it by the horns, do not be afraid, do what you want to do, have honor and integrity in doing so. It also taught me sacrifice and service. I want to be a service to you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Josephina.
Hi, my name is Josephina Riley. I'm a mom, wife, engineer, and a businesswoman, currently working on designing and developing components on electric vehicles. Spending almost 20 years dedicated to bring meaningful products to market, I've launched DNA sequencers that help in the advancement of genetic analysis. At Harley-Davidson, I launched the first zero-emission motorcycle. I spent 7 years working on medical devices to advance the course of medicine. I excel at getting stuff done. This year, with everything going on, I knew I wanted to run for city office to help make an impact. My life and professional experience have prepared me for this role. As vice president of product, I had to drive new business, revenue, and lead teams through the execution of products. I have worked at both large government as well as small startups. I know what it takes to be an entrepreneur and apply novel ideas, as well as work efficiently. When I was vice president of sales, marketing, and business development, I created strategic roadmaps for the company, looking into the future. I know how to be a visionary with a plan, but also agile enough to pivot to new opportunities that may pop up. I've lived in Sierra Madre almost 7 years,
and my main focus is on bringing new opportunities to our city to help drive new revenue. Our utility rates and taxes will continue to increase if we do not find alternate means to pay for the must-haves.
Time.
Thank you.
Dave?
I want to first thank the Women's Club and Chamber for holding this forum again. I've lived in Sierra Madre for 35 years. I've always been active in the community. My contribution to the community have been many. I'm a past president of Sierra Madre Club. Was a reserve police officer here for 10 years. I've been commander of the Veterans of Foreign War Post 3208 in the city of Sierra Madre. I've served on the committee for Congresswoman Judy Chu in collaboration between the Veterans Administration, healthcare system to establish a Veterans Health Center in the San Gabriel Valley, which we have finally done after 7 years. It is now located in Arcadia, in Santa Anita, and Foothill. I've served on Assembly Member Chris Holden's Veterans Advisory Committee. As a long-time citizen of Sierra Madre, I'm very aware of the issues that are important to the community. I believe a council member's priority is responsibility and is also to listen to his constituents and act on their concerns. Whether it's for my church, country, family, or community, my top priority is being of service to others, and I look forward to representing the city of Sierra Madre.
Thank you. Andy?
Hi, everyone. Thank you to the Women's Club and the Chamber for putting this event on. Thanks, everyone, for participating here and those that are watching online. It's important that we all stay informed, and I appreciate hearing from the school board candidates. My name is Andy Ben-Cosme. I'm a business leader, a volunteer, and I consider myself a problem solver that cares about people in my community. I manage the Century 21 office here in town. It's a business that's been in Sierra Madre for 32 years. I've been the manager there for the last 17 years, and I've mentored, trained, and managed professionals there who aim to serve the Sierra Madre community as well as those that want to become part of it. As a business leader and a resident, I've made it my mission to give back to the community and be part of it. I'm on my 6th year serving on the Sierra Madre Community Services Commission, and that commission provides oversight and direction on many of the city and civic events and programs. I, along with my wife, who's back there, have volunteered countless hours with many groups in the community, like the 4th of July Committee, the Friends of the Library, the Historic Preservation Society, etc. I have a master's degree in business. I've been a high school teacher, a manager for Earthlink, where I managed a $90 million budget with 2,000 employees. And I think we need proven leadership to take the city to the next step. We have 3 brand new council people coming on, and I think, I don't want to get in trouble. I just stopped.
You can finish thinking.
I think I have the background both as a business person here in town and a volunteer here in town that could really be an asset to the council. And I've been endorsed.
Okay.
So I tried to sneak more in. Thank you, Susan.
Okay. Kurt?
Thank you all for participating in this event today. Personally, I'm just finishing my second 10-year stretch living here in Sierra Madre, but I've had family members here in town for 96 years. So this is where a majority of my family's memories and history were all created. This is why I moved back 10 years ago so my newly born twins could grow up here. I've been blessed in so many ways. I had a fun, challenging, and successful career in business. Now retired, I am ready to dedicate myself to the town I love. After last week's forum, one thing was very clear. There really is not a huge difference of opinion between the candidates regarding most of the key issues. We all love our village and how it feels to live here. Everyone really seems to understand how important fiscal responsibility is for a small town trying to survive in today's world. So what will differentiate between the strong group of candidates? Here's what I have to offer. Being retired, I have the time and energy to dedicate myself to the job. We all need new challenges in life, and I truly believe this is the one for me. The experience of managing in an ever-changing environment, being able to find solutions when things go south and when times get tough. and most importantly, the ability to listen and understand how people think and feel and find the answers that will best benefit all our citizens here in Sierra Madre.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Point of fact, I am not taking any campaign contributions for my campaign. So please visit my website, kurtrichter2020sm.com, or my Facebook page. Please don't laugh. I'm old school and somewhat technology challenged. I started my career in sales working at a phone booth in front of 7-Elevens.
Time.
I look forward to hearing from all of you. My phone number's on there. Call me directly with any questions.
Thank you. All right. Robert?
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, I want to start with gratitude. I want to thank the Sierra Madre Women's Club and Chamber of Commerce for hosting today's event. I would again like to thank the heroes protecting us from the pandemic and the wildfires, the firemen, nurses, doctors, grocers, policemen, and many frontline workers who are helping us stay safe. Finally, I'd like to thank my wife, Jennifer, for her support. Thanks to her, I'm sporting my third COVID haircut. I'm a husband, father, 30-year California resident, and dedicated community servant. I focus my career and life's work on supporting the environment. I currently serve on the city's Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources Commission and represent Sierra Madreans with the Clean Power Alliance, our energy provider. I volunteered to help develop the city's first solar energy project, which will save the city more than $5 million over its lifetime, starting in the first year. I'm honored and thankful to have the endorsement of Mayor John Capocha and City Council Member John Harabedian. I'm running for City Council because I love Sierra Madre and want to take care of it and its citizens. I have 3 priorities for this great city: replace our aging infrastructure, strengthen our local economy, and protect our natural resources. On infrastructure, our town has multiple areas to address, from our water pipes to our library. I'll work to develop a plan to reduce the time to replace the pipes, but also repair our roads, sewers, and address key infrastructure. For economy, we have an incredible downtown with fabulous shops. We also have an underutilized light industrial region on Montecito, which has tremendous potential. I want to make our commercial and industrial zones attractive to business and create meaningful employment opportunities for people of Sierra Madre. For natural resources, we need to focus on reducing our risk to wildfires and protecting wildlife. I'll work closely with state and federal officials to protect our town from fires through vegetation management and support a healthy habitat for wildlife in our national forests.
Time.
Sierra Madre is an incredible city and I'm proud to live here. I promise to work hard for our community, so please vote for me on November 3rd.
Thank you. And Ed.
Good evening, Sierra Madre. My name is Edward Garcia, and I am running for the 2-year seat for City Council. I've been living here in Sierra Madre for 18 years. I did marry into a family that's been here for quite a while. My wife Amy grew up here, her mother Margaret grew up here, and her grandmother Arlie moved here when my mother-in-law was young. I understand this town fairly well through my in-laws. I've volunteered at every point that I can. I am the current president of the Sierra Madre Community Foundation, which is a local charity that is devoted to enhancing the life of all Sierra Madreans. I've served on the Special Revenue Committee here in Sierra Madre in 2015, where we opened up the books to see what was going on with revenue, to try to find creative solutions to keep this city fully funded, to keep our fire and our police in-house in Sierra Madre rather than contracting out. I was on the UUT Oversight Committee, the last one, which was back in 2015. I served as a board member or a committee member on that. I was the Cub Master of Troop 110 at St. Rita. I'm currently on the Troop Committee of Troop 110 and a Merit Badge Counselor. Some of you may have known that I was the chair of Measure UUT, Yes on Measure UUT. That was
30 seconds.
the measure to keep our city fully funded, to keep our fire and police here in town and have an autonomous city. And then Measure D, which was 2 years later, which would have forced our city into disincorporation. I was the chair of that committee too, taking time away from my family, and gladly volunteering to keep our town autonomous. That's one of the most important things that we have here. We have our own city council, and we can speak directly to our public safety. I am endorsed by Mayor Capocha. I am endorsed by Mayor Pro Tem Rachel Arizmendi. I am endorsed by former mayor and current council member Gene Goss, and I'm endorsed by current council member and former mayor John Harbedian. Thank you.
All right. Okay. You guys have 2 minutes each for these questions. And it's not easy being the timekeeper. I'm not running for office, so can't vote against me. But I want to try to be fair to everyone. So I hate saying time, just be mindful. And let's get cracking. This question came up 4 or 5 times, and it is about a California proposition that will have an impact one way or another on the city of Sierra Madre. So the question is, what is your position on California Proposition 15, which increases taxes for commercial and industrial properties? And let's start with Dave and work our way around.
I don't know, I don't need 2 minutes. I've heard about the proposition. I have to study it a little further. At the first instance, I would vote for it, but then when I started looking at it, I had second thoughts. But right now, to give you a honest answer, I can't.
Okay, thank you. Josephina?
I think we are taxed sufficiently in Sierra Madre, and I'd like to not increase taxes.
Thank you. Oh, I'm loving this. Tracy?
I'm actually for Prop 15. Chevron gets billions of dollars of tax cuts every single year, and they don't pay anything. They need to pay their fair share. Now, if I was in Sacramento and I had been working on the bill, I would have made the threshold of 5 million, not 3 million. We live in Southern California. 3 million does not go very far. So what I'm kind of hoping for is it does pass. We get that money for our teachers and for our fire department, our police. But there's an amendment of some kind where it doesn't affect one small business.
Kelly?
I think many of you probably know that the attempt of Prop 15 is to reform in part Prop 13. And as for the discussion earlier with our school board, I mean, one of the travesties of Prop 13 is it's really plummeted our per pupil spending in this state. We used to have the finest public education system in the country, and the slow weaning away of the money because of the limits on increase on property tax has really decimated the funding for the schools, as we all well know. To be clear, this is not going to raise taxes on individual people or their properties. This is specifically for businesses, as Tracy mentioned. So I am in support of it because I do think that there needs to be reform. This is a first step, I think, and we need to make sure that we have enough funding, especially for our schools. Edward?
That's my brother-in-law. Yeah, I was the man that came and was the chairman of Measure UUT, right? So that was a tax initiative here in town. I was supportive of that. I'm generally not in support of huge taxes. I like taxes that are spent or that are paid and then they come right back to our city. Those are the best kind of taxes to pay. So Prop 15 is a little different. I'm an economist, so I'm not a big fan of taxes on businesses. I tend to be more of a laissez-faire type of economist and individual. I think that could hurt businesses. There are enough businesses that are leaving California, and we need to keep businesses here in California. Obviously, this is my personal opinion. I don't think it has much to do with what I'm going to be doing here on the city council, but that's where I sit on that.
Thank you. Robert?
So I'm in support of Prop 15 because I think it levels the playing field for businesses. It helps new businesses be able to start up and not be at a disadvantage to someone who's been there for a long period of time. I think the revenue is really important. It's going to help us with public safety and with our schools. And so for those 2 reasons, I support Prop 15.
Thank you. Kurt?
Okay, Prop 15. I think that it's bad economics. I think the state has historically, every election, we seem to have propositions that want to raise taxes. I think Prop 13 has been one thing that's protected us over the years. And so any starting to erode away of that will eventually come down and we'll all be paying for it. And even if it's just businesses now, we'll all be paying for it with lost jobs and lost business leaving the state. So I am definitely against Prop 15.
And Andy.
Yeah, while I support school funding and public safety funding, I think Prop 15 is really misguided. Currently businesses are taxed on their property assessment when they purchase, based on the purchase price when they purchase it, and it goes up 2%, up to 2% a year. And you look at our downtown businesses, we have small businesses, mom and pops that may have owned these properties for generations. We see them closing already because of COVID. Prop 15 would reassess properties based on market value every 3 years, which is not fair to someone that's owned it for a long period of time. And that tax increase would be passed on to the business operator, whoever's renting the building. It's not going to be Chevron or a big corporation paying this. It's going to be Billy Sullivan back there and people like him. And it will cause the cost of running and operating a business in our town to dramatically increase. So I'm definitely against it, and I agree with Kurt. This is kind of a foot in the door to reassess residential properties, which again, we have people that have owned their property here in town for generations. Even though our property values are high, it doesn't mean that everyone that lives here is rich. It just means they were lucky enough to have parents who had the foresight to move here. And they may not be able to afford their home if the property taxes got reassessed today. So I'm definitely against Prop 15.
Thank you. Now, this next question, I want everyone to speak slowly and clearly with their answers in the mic. That question is, do you have a position or any comments on the proposal by the Sierra Madre Library Foundation to put a bond measure on the 2022 ballot to pay for a new library? And we shall start with Ed.
Sorry, Susan, could you repeat the first part of that question?
Do you have a position or any comments on the proposal by the Sierra Madre Library Foundation to put a bond measure on the 2022 ballot to pay for a new library?
Thank you. So I do support the library. I do support librarians and friends of the library, and I know individuals in the foundation, and I've been having talks with them. As a city council member, the primary focus or a primary focus is public safety. So whether or not we have enough funds for public safety in the future, I think that would be something that we would want to come to the public and ask for if there is something that we have to ask for. I'd like to reserve the right for that, for our own safety. If a public group wants to come and put something on the ballot themselves, yes, they can do that. And the voter will come up with an answer, whether or not they want to go forward with that program. I do think that we have been very poor about maintaining our assets here in Sierra Madre. So we need to make sure that our assets, such as our library and water infrastructure, are taken care of. But I support, the job here is to support the constituents or the individuals here in town. And if enough people want a new library and they want to put that on the ballot, that is the will and the wish of the public. And I will support the public.
Thank you. Robert.
So I also am a big supporter of public safety, and right now our library is maybe not the safest building in town. It needs a lot. It needs some TLC. We've got floors that can't support the books that are there. We've got a roof that hasn't been resurfaced since, I believe, 1996. So we really have to make a decision, and it's going to be kind of one of a couple of different ways that we can go. So I too support the will of the people. And I think we need to have something on the ballot in 2022 and let the people make that decision. And then based on that decision, that will set our course going forward. Is that if something comes in and the people want to have a new library, fantastic, we'll build a new library. And if we don't, if something doesn't get on the ballot, or if the people decide they don't want to have an additional tax, then we have to make a really challenging decision about what we're going to do with that library. We've got asbestos in it, we've got lots of things, we've got access issues, so we're going to have to focus on this. And this is a part of the infrastructure focus that I have, is that we need to look at this long term and how we can take care of this incredible community asset.
Thank you. Kurt.
Okay, it was a very interesting meeting the other day. And, you know, I thought the current council did a very good job of pushing back and challenging the library board. And I really agree that it doesn't seem to make much. We have to make changes on there now. We have to pay to make it safe. And so the decision was to just kind of do the minimum and kick the can down the road a little bit till it goes on the ballot. We had the survey, and I think that kind of indicated that the people don't want more taxes for it. You know, I would have liked to have seen the library commission and the city council agree that we need to upgrade the library to a point where it's safe and nice and create the best library we can within the budget and go from there. I'm not sure a big, beautiful $17 million library is something that a town of 11,000 people can afford.
Thank you. Andy.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of the library. I think it's something near and dear to the heart of most residents. My son's first library card was at Sierra Madre Public Library. I see all the I love the library signs all over town. And it is an asset, as Ed said. It is something we need to take care of. We paid for that in the 50s. Our forefathers had the visionary thought to build a new library, one that has served us this long. And I think it's time for us to show some leadership and support fixing our asset. It would cost about $2 million, from my understanding, to just do that bare minimum. That's a lot of money, but why throw good money after bad, band-aiding a building that is past its useful life? And frankly, if we spent the $2 million, you're looking at having a lot less shelf space, because of the ADA requirements, our shelves are too close together. So you're paying $2 million not to have what you had 10 years ago, but to have 75% of what you had. So I'm for, yes, if the groups that want to put forward a measure want to do that and the community supports it, great. But either way, the city council will have to show some leadership on what to do from there. That measure for $17 million
30 seconds.
doesn't mean that the Friends or the foundation gets to build the library that they paid an architect to draw up for us. All that means is that the city is entitled to raise those funds and pay for it with a parcel tax. How much they decide to use is up to that next council. And I think that's going to be a big decision in the next 4 years.
Thank you. All right, Dave?
I too agree that the library is in need of repairs. However, to throw good money after bad, I personally would not vote for that. I would vote for the bond. If you're going to repair something that's going to last for years to come, I think it's time that we decide to do that. So I would be in favor, if the citizens want, go for the bond to do so.
Thank you. Josephina.
Okay, so at the end of the day, residents will decide. However, my position is I think bonds are a great way, bond measures are a great way to pay for big expenses. I think in our city right now, the big expenses obviously are water, and that's a must-have. And right now, we have water rates that are adjusted to pay for the water infrastructure. And, we have UUT tax to pay for other stuff. So I think the library does need to be repaired and or fixed. I think it will depend on the residents to decide the level, and the city council as well. I think the range is somewhere between 2 million to 17 million, as other people suggested. And again, I think bonds are good ways to, kind of borrow that money and not increase taxes, but be able to afford things like the library. I am going to be focusing on trying to bring in more revenue to the downtown area. I think that is crucial and critical to our long-term success as a city.
30 seconds.
If we don't have a scalable solution to bring in more revenue, taxes are going to be increased, or we're going to have to keep borrowing for bonds like this. So I do want to focus on the possibilities and the opportunities that we have in our downtown area to be able to bring in more customers, increase our customer base, and support the businesses there. Thank you.
Tracy?
To me, it's always what we want. It's always up to the voters. I read the results of this survey, and it really looks like people want to take care of the ADA issues and that kind of thing, but they don't want a parcel tax. I say the bottom line is leave it up to the voters to decide. We just don't want to spend $2 million now, and then a few years from now, all of a sudden we want to tear down the building and build a whole new one. That's my personal opinion. I think that's ridiculous, not fiscally responsible. But the bottom line is put it in front of the voters. We'll know what to do. As voters, I'm talking about, not me.
Kelly?
I agree with everyone that this is an issue for the community to decide. I am not in favor of using the ballot initiative itself to decide, to illustrate what the public wants. I do not think it's a good idea to put a measure on the ballot to see if the community will support it. I think we need to know what the support level in the city is before we put it on the ballot. I think it's bad for the city, it's bad for the library trustees, it's bad for us all in public life to test it out on an official ballot. So I would really be interested in having an education campaign and having a survey after the options are presented so that we really have a good sense of exactly what the public wants. It's true that the existing surveys do not indicate an interest in supporting a new library with a parcel tax. But I also know that there's been a lot of lack of information and disinformation about exactly what the tax would go towards. And I think part of what the foundation and the board of trustees wants to do is have a better communication with the community and make sure that people understand what the choices are before they indicate their support or not. And I'm very much in favor of continuing that communication and improving that communication so we know where the city stands before we just put it on a ballot to see whether it'll stick. That would not be my position.
Thank you. All right, the next question. Starting with Kelly. What is the biggest issue, in your opinion, that is currently holding Sierra Madre back?
I think that unfortunately, even though we have a long and storied and amazing history, there was a long period of time where this city ignored basic maintenance and upkeep of our infrastructure. I mean, we've been talking about it. The whole last question was about that very point. And of course, we all know that the water system was at a point of, close to fail before the current staff and council took aggressive measures to really start improving and upgrading the kinds of things that we should have been doing for decades. And we're going to now have to do that well into the future to make sure that that those systems serve us. I mean, obviously the water service is one of the most important things we have, and we need to make sure that that's being done efficiently and in a way that doesn't disrupt daily life. So I think the biggest issue we have is sort of improving the attention that we pay to our assets and to our infrastructure.
Thank you. Tracy.
I wish we would have started on taking care of our environment a little bit earlier, but on the positive side, we are now. With the solar farm coming in, that's amazing. 716 tons of CO2 will be gone each year. That's amazing to me. I'm really grateful for the people who are working on that, such as Robert. I think that's really important to take care of our environment and get all that in order.
Thank you. Josephina.
So water is definitely an issue. However, I think it's kind of a non-negotiable issue. We just, we're paying for it. We're taking care of it. I think all the right steps are being taken right now in the city, to take care of it. So one thing that is a really big issue that I'm not sure everybody knows, or maybe you do know, but it should be a concern to everyone, that 75% of the revenue from this city comes from taxes, comes from your pockets. Only 3% of the revenue in this city comes from our sales and our businesses downtown. And in fact, it's declining even before COVID. And if a city is in decline, right, that's a problem. We need to take care of that before it gets too late. So my proposals will be to bring in new ideas and to try to troubleshoot what's happening downtown, whether it's, the high rents, or whether it's, other issues that we may be having, other complaints that we may be having. I really want to drill into the root cause of that and try to address those problems with opportunities, solutions, whether it be, how do we increase the pedestrian flow? How do we reduce car traffic? How do we improve our outdoor retail and dining? I have mentioned several times, perhaps an anchor store that fits with our aesthetic. There's a lot of ideas that we can implement. We have such a beautiful downtown, yet, there's doors that say for lease for a long time. I've been here for 7 years and I see the revolving door down there. So it is a problem. Do I think that the 3% will be 100? No, but incremental improvements are necessary.
Thank you. Dave?
I think it's something that we speak about and yet we don't really talk about that often. It's affordable housing. Rents are extremely high. We all say it's a great place to raise our children. They go through the school system, formative years, they go on to college. They can't really return and set roots here because they cannot afford housing. And I'm not speaking about low-income housing, I'm just speaking about affordable housing. I don't have a solution for it, but I think it's about time because it plays into the revenue going down to the city, going down to the Kirsten courts, supporting the businesses. Without folks here, it's not going to happen. And like I've said, I've been here 35 years and I've seen revolving doors on all the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy?
Yeah. We have two problems to answer the question. One is a long-term problem, one is a short-term problem. Long-term, yes, our infrastructure has been neglected for the last 50 years. There's been some improvement over the last couple, but we still have to focus on things like our assets, like our public library, our water system, our sewage system, our streets, our parks, and our public safety, of course. Those are kind of our bread and butter issues that we have to deal with. Our short-term problem is our downtown businesses and our residents being able to participate like you guys are participating today. One of the things that makes Sierra Madre great is that we have this wonderful community spirit run by volunteers and a small city staff. We put on so many events and activities, and that's what kind of binds us together. And with the pandemic, we haven't been able to do a lot of that. I mean, the forum last week, I think, is the first major event we've been able to do. And we have to find ways to keep that community spirit alive. The businesses also, I mean, yeah, it's not a big moneymaker, right? It's not the sales tax revenue. That's never gonna be like Monrovia or Duarte. We're not gonna have a Home Depot or a Walmart, nor do we want to in Sierra Madre. But the businesses are a service to the community. They are part of the fabric of the community.
30 seconds.
So I think we have to find creative solutions to keep those businesses open and thriving and supporting our community. That's it.
Thank you. Thanks. Kurt?
Well, that's a loaded question. What is the biggest issue holding Sierra Madre back? I guess that kind of depends on what week it is. Yeah, because running a city this size is just a never-ending challenge because there's never going to be enough money coming in to cover all the expenses that need to be done. And so we have to just really be smart. The town has pulled together many times, by accepting higher taxes just to pay for our police and other infrastructure. And I think it's the The biggest challenge is to just stay rational and intelligent in our decision-making as far as how we spend our money, because we are going to always be limited in how much we can take in. So we just have to always be prioritizing what is the most important thing for the citizens.
Thank you. Robert.
So you heard me say at the beginning, my top 3 priorities for the city: replace our aging infrastructure, strengthen our local economy, and protect our natural resources. And I believe them in that order. We need to have a long-term plan on how to replace our aging pipes, to make sure we don't have failures in the sewers, to make sure that we can afford and maintain a library. And those are all the long-term visions. There's also a short-term one. In the short term, we need to make sure that we have money for public safety, for the police and for the fire, so that they can be there to protect us. If there was ever a time that reminded us how important that public safety is, it was just last week and the last 20 days when we've seen the fire here in the mountains right behind us. So those are those are the 2 things that are really important, is to look at the long term, to look at being able to repair and maintain our infrastructure, and in the short term, making sure that we have a safe and thriving community. And that's my answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the question is, what is holding us back? And yeah, there are things we can improve on, but you know what? I think Sierra Madre is pretty darn good. I don't know that there's much holding us back. I would not want to live in any other town in California other than Sierra Madre. I wouldn't want to raise my kids in any other town other than Sierra Madre. So what's holding us back? Not much. We have some of the best volunteers I have ever seen, some of the best community spirit that I've ever seen. So I think we're doing pretty well. Are there things we can improve on? Yes, and we've talked about those. But let's go back to some good things, right? As far as our financial house, it's in order. We have been reducing our liabilities. If you look through our consolidated annual financial review, our audit, our liabilities have been decreasing year over year. We're going up in financial soundness while all our neighbors are going down. Monrovia, Arcadia, and Pasadena are all in the wrong direction. And here in Sierra Madre, we're doing great. I want to continue that. I want to continue for us to be financially sound. We don't have, it's a double curse, right? We don't have to rely on sales tax, which is a great thing. We look at towns like Monrovia, and they have car dealerships and Home Depots and all these big businesses. But what happens when we have a cyclical downturn like we have right now? You are hurting for money. So I think we're doing very well as far as our structure for revenue. Obviously, there are revenue issues, but we're not like Monrovia that has a whole laundry list of parcel taxes on your property. So I think we're doing well. Infrastructure, yes, we've ignored it long enough. Sorry. So we need to take care of it.
Thank you. All right. I'm gonna start with, I wanted you to say your breath. You're next. What made you decide to go into public service?
If you heard my short introduction, I have been serving this community as early as I could, right? When I was first possible to serve, I've been on the Sierra Madre Community Foundation for almost 8 years now. I've been serving at many capacities, and I feel as though I bring something that we haven't had as an economist and a professor of finance to the table. And I think that a lot of us know the town well, but I know the town pretty well. I want to be your servant. I think one of our duties as people that live in a community is to serve one another. How happy of a community are we when we are serving one another? And that kind of goes back to my previous answer. We have a whole village of volunteers here, people that are sacrificing their time and away from their families or with their families to bring these nice things that we have. So I would say that whole spirit of volunteerism here in this town has ignited my passion to volunteer and to be your servant.
Thank you. Robert?
So public service is in my DNA and has been since I was a young Boy Scout. It was really that civic duty that we have to make our communities better. And really, as I went through and became an Eagle Scout, it was underscored in me that we always have to be giving back. And so I have. I've been involved in the CERT team. I've got my CERT certification back in 2001. I'm a backcountry ski patroller, so when it actually gets cold enough, I've out there and helped people in the backcountry. I've been involved in the Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources Commission, as well as your representative of the Clean Power Alliance. And so when I saw the opportunity to take the next step forward, to really serve this incredible community and to help it out and to take it into its next chapter, it was something that was too exciting to pass up. And so for me, it's just kind of who I am. And it's really an honor and a pleasure to be here. And I really hope that people put their faith in me to help continue to serve and to continue to make this an incredible place to live.
Thank you. Kurt.
Well, when I was younger, I always thought I wanted to get into public service, but my plans were a little grandiose back then. I was going to start my own party. I was going to call it the Renaissance Party, and it was it was going to stand for the rebirth of logical thinking. And then I got busy in business, and kind of went by the wayside. But now that I'm retired, my kids are now 10. And I just love this city, with all my family history here. I just feel I have a lot to offer. And so that's what prompted me to get into it at this time.
Thank you. Andy?
I guess I'm a volunteer at heart. When I see a need, I try to step in and help. When my son was young in school and he was just going into Cub Scouts, I wasn't an Eagle Scout like Robert. I wasn't in Cub Scouts at all. I'm not much of a camper or an outdoors guy. But when they started the Cub Scouts in kindergarten or first grade, I said, yeah, I can help. I can, you teach me whatever it is. So the next meeting, I got handed a stack of books. Here you go. You're the Cub Master, right? Take over. I coach Little League and soccer and all those kinds of things. My professional life, I volunteer quite a bit. I'm on our charitable board where I advocate for local charities and raise money and bring it back to Sierra Madre. As I said earlier, I'm on the Community Services Commission, where part of it is being a commission, part of it is volunteering in every event in town. So, if I see someone needs my help, I'm going to help if possible. I raise my hand, I don't hide in the corner. So, that's kind of what led me here to the stage. And I think my background and my experience will help the community. And, I got cut off earlier, so I'll say it now. I'm endorsed by City Council member Gene Goss, former Mayor Rob Stockley, our State Senator Anthony Portantino, and they know of my involvement and what I do in the community. So I'm glad to have their support, and I think I can do good things for the City Council.
All right, that was pushing it. Dave?
For the last 15 years, I've been focused in improving care for veterans, expanding our local VFW, and the community outreach, such as the Veterans Healthcare Center. Now it is time for me to use my energy, commitment, and innovative thinking to our community at large. I do not come in with any preconceived agenda, but rather would use my skills as a negotiator as I attend many mediations for insurance carriers, to listen to our citizens and to their issues and work towards resolutions.
Thank you. Josephina?
Thank you. As I said earlier, I've spent my entire career trying to launch products that make a difference. In fact, I've left multiple companies because I was not, I didn't feel like I was working on things that were meaningful. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity to serve my community and really make a difference to everybody, One of the things that, really made me decide is, having my 3-year-old daughter over here and just loving the city. But I want to be able to afford to live here, okay? As I've been going door to door, meeting folks, I've had my eyes opened up a little bit more and more. And I really find that people are very concerned that there's no scalable solution except to increase taxes to spend on the things we need. As somebody mentioned that, during a downturn, we would have lowered sales if, we focus on
on our revenue. However, during a downturn, when people lose their jobs, they can no longer afford to live here, possibly, okay? Especially if you have really high taxes. So we need to have a balanced approach. I think that we are doing a good job right now with the UUT. I think we are able to afford all the things that we can, and we're very fortunate to do so. But I think there's areas where I can really help and bring my expertise to help make our city more in the black and really increase that revenue and bring some scalability to the revenue problem. Thanks.
Thank you. Tracy.
I kind of touched about this in the beginning. As far as I remember trying to make the world a better place and making people's lives better. As a kid, one of the fun things I thought to do was go around the neighborhood with gloves and garbage bags and clean up garbage. I was completely obsessed about pollution back then. In 6th grade, I like an architect, I put on a blueprint. Maybe, do you remember smokeless ashtrays? That kind of shows my age because now they're probably just air purifiers. But I would say, why can't we have those in the sky and have that suck up the pollution and that kind of thing and purify? In kindergarten, this is the truth. Some people know about this. I've talked about this before. In kindergarten, we would get our milk and it would sit for hours and hours and hours, not refrigerated, completely hot. And I'd say to the teacher, why can't you put it in the refrigerator? They never would. So I decided to lead a boycott. I told all the other kids, bring juice and thermoses and we won't drink our milk. Well, Mrs. Jenkins called my mom and said, Mrs. Verhoeven, we're not gonna have Tracy lead a boycott and have the kids not drink their milk. But guess what they did? They ended up refrigerating the milk and then we drank our milk.
30
Simple.
seconds.
The bottom line is I'm always trying to think, I'm very solution oriented. I am always trying to think of ways to make people's lives better. I'm always trying to think of ways for businesses to prosper. I'm always trying to think of ways that make people communicate better. I want to be a service to you. I am all about service. And I'm so grateful to be here today.
Thank you. Kelly.
I have been given so much in my life, so many opportunities, and so blessed to live in this community. And I think that everything that I've been given, I need to give back, and that's why I'm here. Just like in my career, where I've been blessed to go to good schools and get a good job in the legal community, part of that responsibility is to provide legal services to those who can't afford it. And so I spend quite a bit of my professional life doing pro bono work. Just like that in my community life, I mean, so much has been given to me by this town. They've helped raise my kids, they've created lifelong friendships and all of those things and created a place that I want to live for the rest of my life. And I feel like that's my job then, to be a steward for this town, to protect its legacy, to move us forward into the future. And, for everything I've been given, I need to give back.
Thank you. All right. This is the last question. Think about it. People are out there listening. People are at home in their pajamas listening. Some of them, no doubt, have had a few drinks by now. So answer this carefully. It's not my question, but I will say the person who submitted it is in the audience. I just noticed that. What's the one thing you've dreamed about for this city? And I'm going to start with Kelly.
I think what I would like, and it's not, as Ed said earlier, I mean, there's so many great things about this town. There really isn't a lot to improve on. I mean, we all love it here. Everyone I've spoken to kind of has a hard time coming up with things that they're concerned about and things that they want to work on. So this is, to me, something that I've noticed in my 11 years here. I feel like we talk a lot about raising families here and having our kids prosper here. I would like to look a little bit closer at providing opportunities for recreation and events for our kids. I do think that a lot of times, we have instances where the kids are sort of roaming around town and people are concerned about that. And, frankly, they don't always have a place to go. And so I think there could be, I've dreamed of sort of having a more focused approach on family and youth recreation and events.
Thank you. Tracy?
I think I would probably do something along the lines with the small businesses. Monrovia has its Friday nights every Friday night, and that brings people there, brings people business, it brings them business, and it brings the city money. I would like to see probably more of that maybe here in Sierra Madre. It's certainly up to the businesses, not up to me, but maybe a monthly event where we all can come together and really, local is where it's at. Let's shop locally. And I think that's something that's very important. And I would like to see probably a monthly event for our mom and pops.
Thank you. Josephina?
So this is a really great question, by the way, because I have a lot of ideas for myself, you know, just sitting out in Kirsten Court, drinking a glass of wine, enjoying the views. So along those lines, I know I've talked a lot about, you know, the thriving downtown. I think it's really important financially. But I think, you know, somebody touched upon it, the community events. I think maybe having an outdoor live music festival or some kind of, you know, music out in Kirsten Court where everyone's sitting outside dining, where the storefronts are full, where we have a clean energy transportation, maybe a circulator or microtransit going through, not as many cars, you know, more public transportation. So, you know, a vision like that, I think would be really beautiful and very special for this town.
Thank you. Dave?
Not to be flippant, but recently the most thing I've dreamed about is that people vote for me for city council. We've all sat here and we understand how wonderful Sierra Madre is. We have so many activities. My kids have been through here and they've gone to the park. They're fortunate they can go to a park. They're fortunate they can go to the local stores and purchase things. So I've never really thought of Sierra Madre as missing anything. Thank you.
Andy?
You know, Sierra Madre is kind of a dream, right? It's a dream place to live. It's a great place to raise kids. The quality of life is off the charts. And you make good friends here. You get to know your neighbors. If anything, I want more people to participate in that. Unfortunately, with the high cost of housing here, some people have to go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up, go back to work. They don't really get to become part of Sierra Madre. They don't know so many of the things we do, and they don't know some of the businesses in town. They don't eat here. I'm blessed, my wife and I, you know, we don't just live in town, but we operate a business here in town, right in downtown. So we get to know everyone, all those people that hang out in front of Starbucks and in Kirsten Court and in Beantown. You know, I try to do all of my business and personal life here in town. We try not to leave. And we know a lot of people and hear a lot of the, you know, the scuttlebutt going on. I'm easy to find. And I think, you know, if more people got to experience that, that would be phenomenal because they would care about the community more and they would really get to reap the benefits of what it is to live here. So I'm blessed. I think this town is, and it's a great place to live. And I think we all just have to be advocates for that.
Well, it's tough to, you know, this town is such a great place, so it's tough to think about wild dreams because, you know, there just isn't that many things you can change that dramatically. But I think I would want to do is really try to take what we've got and enhance it. It's interesting is sitting up here, I just think of all the things that happen here in the park, the concert series, the beer garden, the art festivals, you know, and turn those into, maybe enhance those even into bigger events to create, you know, just more of an environment where people get to know our town and then they'll come eat in the restaurants, shop in the shops, and hopefully bring more money in. And, you know, and then obviously we just have to keep working on all the things that are so important to us, the infrastructure, the police, the fire. Great seeing you gentlemen here today, by the way. And, you know, just just take what the good we have and just figure out how to make it even better.
Thank you. Robert.
Like everybody up here, this is an absolutely incredible town, and we have so much to be thankful for, and it's such an incredible place to live, work, and raise a family. I think that the one dream I have for the city is resilience. And resilience from the standpoint of economic resilience, to having that thriving downtown that we've all talked about. Resilience for our environment, so that we are prepared for the future. We've got hills right behind us right now that haven't had a fire in over a century. And so we need to be able to be prepared for that and make sure that it doesn't impact our town. Resilience for clean and renewable energy. And we're putting in one renewable energy project. I see us going forward and getting a lot more. And so that will really can keep us relevant, keep us as a place that people want to come and want to raise that family and want to be part of all of the great civic activities that we have here.
Thank you. Last but not least,
Yeah, so yeah, we've all said it, we are kind of living the dream being here, right? I'd love to, can't wait till we can go back to these events where we all get together. Community services, it's a department here in City Hall, and it can't be appreciated enough. There are so many intangibles that come from community services, from us getting together and enjoying one another's time. So I can't wait for those events to happen again. The art fair supporting the library, and the 4th of July parade, and the 3rd of July festivities, and the beer garden supporting Little League, and all those little things. So my dream is to even have more volunteers, have more people engaged in enjoying these nice things that we have here. I mean, in our business district, right? Support that. We're going to go to dinner downtown tonight and then go to church afterward. That's our plan for this evening. And I'm doing that right here in town. What a wonderful, wonderful thing to have. Thank you.
thank you. And I want to thank everybody, the audience, the fire department. I saw a police officer earlier, for coming out today. This is so important. All politics is local. Your vote on November 3rd, probably the most important one where you can have the most impact, is going to be for those you choose of the people who are sitting here. But I also want to say, I do a commercial for the Mountain Views. The Mountain Views News and the League of Women Voters on Wednesday evening, you can do this at home. There's going to be a Zoom forum on the 12 initiatives, ballot initiatives on California ballot. 12, and we discussed one today, but those will have an impact one way or another on this wonderful community. So I encourage you to log in. If you see the paper this week, it has the information on it, or you can go to the city's website. I believe they're going to connect and listen to the pros and the cons so that you can make an informed decision. And remember that while it is a statewide ballot, it also will have an impact on your future. So to all of you, we have 2 minutes. I'm not giving it to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, you can shout out your website. They haven't touched my.
Tracy for